Borthakur IAS Academy, an endeavor of excellence.
Borthakur IAS Academy.
Hello everyone, welcome to Borthakur's IAS Academy, Northeast's premier institute for UPSC, APSC and NPSC preparations. I'm your friend Atri, and today I'm here with another segment of Current Affairs 365 dated 26th of June 2021. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook as well as Instagram. So the first news of the day will be tagged under the GS paper 3 under subtopic of renewable energy. This news is about the renewable power generation costs in 2020 report, which has been released by the International Renewable Energy Agency. Coming to the key points of this report, first it discusses about the replacement of coal with renewables. Around 810 gigawatts capacity of the world's existing coal-fired plants, which will account for about 38% of the total global energy capacity, will now have higher operating costs than new utility-scale photovoltaics and onshore wind energy. Replacement of the expensive coal power with renewables will save the operators around 32 billion USD a year, and it will also reduce the annual carbon dioxide emissions by around 3 billion tons. Next is regarding the growth of renewables by 2020. The year 2020 was a record year for renewables development despite of the pandemic, with around 261 gigawatt being installed, and the addition was almost 50% higher than what was made in the year 2019, and it represented 82% of the global new power capacity. Around 162 gigawatt or 62% of the total renewable power capacity which was added last year had lower costs than the cheapest new fossil fuel option. Supplies from the sources that were added in 2020 includes geothermal, photovoltaics, wind power, hydropower, bioenergy and concentrating solar power. What is the main reason behind this growth? Is that between the year 2000 and 2020, the renewable capacity grew more than 3 times, and this growth was occasioned by advancement in technologies, then the consistent fall in component costs and the cost competitive supply distribution channels. Along with that, commercial scale availability was also another reason. So now coming to the Indian initiatives for renewable energy, there are some programs which includes the Hydrogen Energy Mission, then the JNNSM, that is Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission, PM Kusum, National Wind Solar Hybrid Policy, etc. Now the main point is that renewables in all intent and purpose are the most affordable sources of energy, right? So countries, all the countries, they should consider deploying these at a scale to achieve the Paris Agreement targets and also to shield their economies from any external shocks from fossil fuel markets. And this International Renewable Energy Agency, it is an intergovernmental organization which was officially founded in Bonn, Germany in the year 2009. India is its 77th founding member, and currently it has 164 members. Its headquarters are at Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, and the main function of this organization is to support countries in their transition to a sustainable energy future, and it also serves as the principal platform for international cooperation. Along with it, it promotes the widespread adoption and sustainable use of all forms of renewable energy. Secondly, we have the World Drug Report of 2021. This report has been released by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, and here they have highlighted how the lockdown restrictions have actually accelerated drug trafficking because of the increase in internet usage. And by drugs here, the report refers to substances which are controlled under international drug control conventions and their non-medical usage. As per a data analysis, between 2010 to 2019, the number of people using drugs have increased by 22%. And this is because of an increase in the global population. Around 275 million people, they have used drugs worldwide last year, while over 36 million people have suffered from drug use disorders. Now, let us have a look at the impact of COVID-19 on this entire scenario. First is the socio-economic impact. COVID-19 crisis, it has pushed more than 100 million people into extreme poverty, and this has resulted in unemployment as well as inequalities. Mental health conditions are also on the rise all worldwide. Okay, such socio-economic stressors have likely accelerated this demand for drugs. However, there are some positive trends as well, because a rise in the use of technology during pandemic has also triggered innovation in drug prevention as well as treatment services. Because through this, more flexible models of service delivery such as telemedicine, enabling healthcare professionals to reach and treat more patients, they have also been made available. The pharmaceutical opioids which were used to treat people with opioid use disorders, they have now become increasingly accessible. Now, another important thing here that we need to notice is that these drug traffickers, they have recovered quite quickly as compared to the initial setback which was caused due to these lockdown restrictions. Okay, and now in fact they are operating at a pre-pandemic level. This recovery, this immediate recovery, has been resulted because of the rise in use of technology and because of increase in cryptocurrency payments. Also, contactless drug transactions such as through the mail, they are also on the rise, and this trend is possibly accelerated because of the pandemic. Moreover, the vendors, they are playing a cat and mouse game here with the law enforcement by marketing their products as research chemicals or by advertising them as custom synthesis. So here, what can we do in order to control the situation? First, we'll have to combat the misinformation on the impact of use of drug and its products and how crucial they are in degrading the human body, right? So first one is that. Then secondly, we can go for awareness raising and communication and increasing our communication efforts, which will disseminate scientific information without stigmatizing the people. Then there should be an increase in the capacity of law enforcement agencies in order to address drug trafficking over the dark net. A joint response by both government as well as private sector is very important, and they can involve controlling as well as removing advertisements and listing of illegal drugs on internet. And then we'll also have to make sure that we continuously update the scientific standards in order to keep abreast of the acceleration of all the internet-based services. Now, India is also quite vulnerable to trafficking of narcotics, as it is sandwiched between the Golden Crescent and the Golden Triangle. These two places are the major opium production regions in the world. The Golden Crescent, it involves the countries of Iran, Afghanistan and Pakistan, and Golden Triangle, it includes Burma, Thailand, Laos as well as Vietnam. The third news is about the event Toykathon 2021, which is an interministerial event, and it was a joint initiative by the following ministries: Ministry of Education, Women and Child Development Ministry, Ministry of MSME, Textile Ministry, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and All India Council for Technical Education. It was launched on 5th of January 2021 to crowdsource innovative toys and games ideas. The main aim here is to conceptualize innovative toys based on the Indian value system, which will inculcate positive behavior and good value among the children. It will also promote India as a global toy manufacturing hub. This event will be based on Indian culture and ethos, local folklore and heroes, and the Indian value system. There will be 9 themes which will include fitness and sport and rediscovering traditional Indian toys. Participants will be the students, teachers, startups and toy experts, and here they can get prizes up to rupees 50 lakhs. Toys can play a significant role in highlighting India's capabilities, art and culture, and the society to the world, and this event, Toykathon, can prove to be effective in making India a production hub of toys. They can also be an excellent medium to further the spirit of Ek Bharat, Shreshtha Bharat, which will in turn help in reducing the imports. Current status of toy market, if we talk about that, then the global toy market is worth nearly $100 billion, of which India contributes only around $1.5 billion. So India imports around 80% of toys from abroad, which means crores of rupees of the country are going to other foreign countries. This toy industry has its own small scale industry artisans, which comprises of the rural population, Dalits and poor people, and in order to take the benefit of these segments, we need to be vocal for local toys. There is a need for new ideas which needs to be incubated. Okay, new startups should be promoted, and taking new technology to traditional toy makers and creating a new market demand. The 75th anniversary of India's independence is a huge opportunity for the innovators and creators of toy industry, and many incidents and stories which are related to our freedom fighters and their bravery and leadership, it can be depicted through these gaming concepts. So there is a need to create interesting and interactive games that will engage, entertain and educate our masses. The next news is about AgriStack, the new digital push in agriculture. Ministry of Agriculture has signed a memorandum of understanding with Microsoft to run a pilot program for 100 villages in 6 states. This MOU requires Microsoft to create a unified farmer service interface through its cloud computing services. And this comprises a major part of the ministry's plan for creating AgriStack, a collection of technology-based interventions in agriculture. So this AgriStack will be a collection of technologies and digital databases which will focus on farmers and the agricultural sector, and it will create a unified platform for all the farmers to provide them end-to-end services across agriculture food value chain. And it is also in line with the Centre's Digital India program, which is aimed at providing a broader push to digitize data in India, from land titles to medical records. The government is also implementing the National Land Records Modernization Program in this regard. Under that program, each farmer will have a unique digital identification that contains personal details, information about the land they farm, as well as production and financial details. And each ID is going to be linked to the individual's digital national ID, which is the Aadhaar. At present, a majority of farmers across India are either small or marginal farmers, and they have limited access to advanced technologies. And that can be improved, through this particular initiative. And among the new proposed digital farming technologies and services which will be included, they are sensors to monitor the cattles, drones to analyze the soil quality, and application of pesticides, which might significantly improve the farm yields, as well as it will boost the farmer's income. The problems such as inadequate access to credit and information, then pest infestation, crop wastage, poor price discovery, as well as yield forecasting, all these can be sufficiently addressed by the use of digital technology. And this will also fuel innovation and breed investment towards the agricultural sector and augment research towards more resilient crops. So this was all for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it will be useful. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll see you all again tomorrow with another segment of Current Affairs 365 only on Borthakur's IAS Academy, Northeast's premier institute for UPSC, APSC and NPSC preparations. Till then, take care, keep learning. Bye-bye.
বৰঠাকুৰ IAS একাডেমি প্ৰস্তুতি আৰু অধ্যয়নৰ নিৰ্ভৰযোগ্য ঠিকনা
বৰঠাকুৰ IAS Academy